Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to KRSTV. This is your boy Kenny. Now remember, subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also follow me and follow all the information I have in the description box as well as the comment section. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And before I get started, let me give a special shout out to GMHC, which is Gay Men's Health Collaborative. If you are in the DMV area and would like to get tested for HIV, reach out to the GMHC to get you a home kit where you can get tested for HIV. You can have it mailed to you, or you can call and make a same-day appointment and come to the location to pick your home kit up. And if you're interested in getting set up for PrEP, which is HIV prevention, reach out to the GMAC for that as well. Also, if you are a fan of KRSTV and would like to become a Patreon of KRSTV, check out patreon.com/KRSTV and become one of my Black Diamonds. Black Diamonds, in darkness we still shine. For $3 a month, you will get all of my YouTube content as well as special videos that are just strictly for my Patreons. So check out patreon.com/KRSTV and be a Patreon today. Also, let me give a special shout out to my YouTube partner BK WorldTube, which is the Black Netflix, where you get shows like Love and Hip Hop, Black Ink Crew, and the Haves and the Have-Nots. So after you watch this episode, go check out the link in my description box and my comment section to check out BK WorldTube today. Now this is a brand new episode of my show here on YouTube called Tea and Scandals. I'd like to thank you all for clicking on. And this episode is about one of the best jazz vocalists of all time. And I am talking about Billie Holiday. Nicknamed Lady Day, she alone inspired jazz instrumentalists and pioneered a new way of ad-libbing phrases and tempo, skills that are now prevalent in rap, neo-soul, and hip-hop today. Born Eleanor Fagan on April 7, 1915 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, her mother, Sadie Fagan, was 19 years old. She was evicted by her parents in Baltimore for being pregnant. And her father, Clarence Holiday, was 17, who left Baltimore to pursue his career as a musician. She was left in the care of Sadie's half-sister, Ava Miller, and it's reported she was abused and neglected, and she longed for her mother, who took transportation jobs serving on passenger railroads. She frequently skipped school and was brought before juvenile court in January 1925 for truancy charges, and she was sent to a Catholic reform school called House of the Good Shepherd for 9 months. She was paroled to her mother, Sadie, who by then had opened a restaurant called the East Side Grill, and she worked long hours there with her mother and dropped out of school in the 5th grade. On December 24th, 1926, Sadie walked in to see Eleanor being sexually assaulted by a neighbor. The man, Wilbur Rich, was arrested and jailed for 3 months, but Eleanor, the victim, was sent back to the House of the Good Shepherd. Her street way of talking didn't sit well with the nuns, and as punishment, she was forced to sleep in a room with a dead body, which traumatized her. She was released in 1927 at the age of 12 and found work running errands in a brothel, such as scrubbing steps and scrubbing kitchen and bathroom floors. The madam would let her listen to records on the Victor player. Her influencers were Louis Armstrong and Bessie Smith. In 1928, her mother moved to New York, leaving her in the care of Ava Miller and Ava's mother-in-law, Martha Miller. In 1929, she joined her mother in Harlem, and they lived with Florence Williams, who ran a brothel. Sadie had become a sex worker, and Eleanor became a victim of sex trafficking at $5 a client. The house was raided on May 2nd, 1929, and she and her mother were sent to prison. She was only 14 years old and was tried as an adult. Her mother was released in July, and she was released in October. For a while, they both struggled hard, not able to find work and having issues with living situations. She began to sing in nightclubs for tips with tremendous success. She took the name Billie from her favorite actress Billie Dove and the name Holiday from her father. Now and forever, she was known as Billie Holiday. Through the years 1929 through 1935, she performed in all the hot spots in New York. Her reputation grew and she began to work with Benny Goodman and saxophonist Kenneth Holland. She even reconnected with her father, Clarence Holiday, who was playing with Fletcher Henderson's band. In late 1932, at age 17, she replaced the singer Monette Moore at Coven's, a club on West 132nd Street. She soon was discovered by legendary producer John Hammond, who went to Coven's to hear more, but was blown away by Billie's talent and her ability to sing like an improvising jazz genius. John Hammond arranged for Billie Holiday to make her recording debut at the age of 18. She recorded 2 songs with Benny Goodman, Your Mother's Son-in-Law, which sold 300 copies, and Riffin' the Scotch, which sold 5,000 copies. She was a sensation and she was getting radio airplay and getting play on jukeboxes. In 1935, she took a small role as a woman rejected by her lover in Duke Ellington's musical short film Symphony in Black, a rhapsody of Negro life. She sung the song Saddest Tale in her scene. In 1935, she was signed to Brunswick Records by John Hammond. She began to work with pianist Teddy Wilson to record pop tunes. They were allowed to improvise the material, in which Billie's ability to improvise the melody to fit the emotion was revolutionary. Their first recording, What a Little Moonlight Can Do, was a huge success, going to number 12 on the pop charts, followed by the song Miss Brown to You. John Hammond said of Billie and Teddy Wilson's recordings that they saved Brunswick from bankruptcy. They paid her a flat rate instead of royalties, saving the company money. The song I Cry For You was a huge success for the label in 1936, selling 15,000 copies. Brunswick Records was eventually bought out by Columbia Records in 1939. Another accompanist on her records was tenor saxophonist Lester Young. They were considered musical soulmates, and it was Lester who gave her the nickname Lady Day. She nicknamed him Prez, the president of the saxophone. In 1937, she became the vocalist of Count Basie's band. Lester Young was a part of the band as a saxophonist. The traveling conditions were rough due to racial segregation. They did many one-nighters, but with very little money and stability. Billie Holiday chose the songs she sang and had a hand in arrangements. Her tunes included I Must Have a Man, Traveling All Alone, I Can't Get Started, and Summertime, originated from Porgy and Bess and was a huge hit for her in 1936, reaching number 12 on the pop charts. Some of the songs she did with Count Basie's band were recorded. I Can't Get Started and They Can't Take That Away From Me, and Swing It Brother Swing. She was also in competition with Ella Fitzgerald, who was a vocalist for the Chuck Webb Band. The two would later become good friends. Due to creative differences, low pay, and poor working conditions, Billie was no longer working with Count Basie in February of 1938. In March of 1938, she was hired by Artie Shaw, which made her the first black woman to work with an all-white band. She faced even worse racial tension while touring the segregated South. Shaw was known to stick up for her and said she deserved to be on the bandstand like Helen Forrest and everyone else. At times, they wouldn't even let her perform on stage because she was black. Shaw was pressured to hire a white singer, Nita Bradley, to share the bandstand. She and Billie Holiday didn't get along. Billie Holiday and Artie Shaw appeared on New York's radio station WABC, which is now WCBS, which increased their exposure, but by November 1938 she left the band after she was forced to use the service elevator when they were booked at the Lincoln Hotel in New York City. She also had to enter and leave the hotel through the kitchen. Sadly, there are no live recordings with Artie Shaw's band, possibly due to her race. She did do a record with Artie Shaw called Any Old Time. In September 1938, she recorded the single I'm Gonna Lock My Heart, which was a huge hit, going to number 2 on the pop charts. In 1939, now recording with Columbia Records, she was introduced to the song Strange Fruit, a song based on a poem about lynching written by Abel Maripal, a Jewish school teacher from the Bronx. The song was heard by Barney Josephson, the owner of Cafe Society, the only interracial nightclub in New York City. He then introduced the song to Billie Holiday. She had reservations at first to do the song, mainly due to the death of her father, Clarence Holiday. A veteran of World War I, he was exposed to mustard gas, which he developed a lung disorder but was refused medical treatment because he was black. He eventually died in 1937. She first performed the song at Cafe Society in 1939, and it became her signature song that she would perform in her repertoire for the next 20 years. Producers at Columbia Records wouldn't record it due to them not wanting to upset their southern distributors. The song was recorded on Commodore Records on April 20th, 1939, produced by Milt Gabler. It didn't get any radio play, but sold very well. The other side of the record, Fine and Mellow, was a jukebox hit. Strange Fruit became her biggest selling record. Her popularity grew, and she became a regular performer at Cafe Society until 1947. Holiday's mother, Sadie, opened another restaurant called Mom's Holiday. She used the money Billie won playing dice with Count Basie's band and would borrow large sums of money from Billie to keep it going. When she fell on hard times financially, she asked her mom for help, in which her mother refused. They had a huge fight, and Billie yelled at her saying, "God bless the child that's got his own," and stormed out. Sadie Fagan passed away in 1945, and Billie Holiday was devastated by the loss. She then wrote a song along with Arthur Herzog Jr. on the lyric "God Bless the Child," and it was a hit, reaching number 25 on the pop charts in 1941. In 1942, she recorded "Traveling Light" with Paul Whiteman on the new label Capitol Records under the name Lady Day. It reached number 23 on the pop charts and number 1 on the R&B charts. Milton Gabler became A&R for Decca Records and signed Billie Holiday to the label on August 7th, 1944. Her first recording was Lover Man. I love that song. It went number 16 on the pop charts and number 5 on the R&B charts, and it became one of her biggest hits. This led to solo concerts, which was rare for jazz singers in the 1940s. The flip side to Lover Man, No More, was one of her favorite songs. Lover Man was the first time strings were used in her recordings, and she was ecstatic after begging Milt for strings to be included. Such arrangements were later associated with Frank Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald. Other notable recordings on Decca Records are That Old Devil Called Love, Big Stuff, Don't Explain, a song she wrote about her first husband, Jimmy Monroe, who was a drug addict and who got her hooked on heroin, and a known womanizer. Big is What Is This Thing Called Love, You Better Go Now, and Good Morning Heartache. In 1946, she appeared in her only major film, New Orleans, along with her idol Louis Armstrong. Due to the Hays Code of Hollywood, she was given the role as a maid. Louis Armstrong and Billie's roles were lessened in the film to avoid the impression that black people created jazz, which is actually true. So several scenes were deleted from the film. Her drug addiction at this time to heroin was a problem on the set. Her now lover, Joe Guy, who was actually her drug dealer, would supply her drugs, and eventually he was banned from the set by her manager, Joe Glacier. By 1947, she was earning $1,000 a week and reportedly earned $250,000 from 1944 through 1947. On May 16, 1947, she was arrested for possession of narcotics in her New York apartment. Billie became a target for the Federal Bureau of Narcotics under the order of Harry J. Anslinger, who had been tailing her since 1939. She was told to stop performing the protest song Strange Fruit. She refused, and Anslinger made her public enemy number one. When he took over the narcotics division under the presidency of Herbert Hoover, and after alcohol prohibition was no more, he needed a new target, so he combined his two hatreds. His hatred for black people. It's even documented that he used the N-word in his memos, and his hatred for illicit drug use, in which he began to target jazz artists, in which he sent agents to follow Billie Holiday, one of them being a black agent named Jimmy Fletcher. He became infatuated with her and felt immense guilt when he turned her into the Bureau. Tupac Shakur was a huge fan of Billie Holiday, and he compared what happened to Billie as the same thing that happened to his mother, Afeni Shakur, who was targeted by the feds due to her high-ranking position in the Black Panther Party. On May 27, 1947, she stood trial. It was called the United States of America versus Billie Holiday, and she recalled that's exactly how it felt. Her attorney didn't come to represent her. She pleaded guilty, and she asked the court to send her to a hospital instead of prison. She instead was sentenced and sent to Alderson Federal Prison Camp in West Virginia. She didn't sing a single tune while incarcerated. She was released early for good behavior on March 16, 1948. Due to her conviction, she lost her cabaret license, in which she couldn't perform at places that served alcohol. Another brutal attack from the Bureau of Narcotics. Performing in nightclubs was her livelihood, and it was taken away from her in such a heinous fashion. In March 27, 1948, Billie Holiday had a huge comeback with her concert at Carnegie Hall. It was sold out, and fold-out chairs were placed on the stage for people to sit, and it was a great success. That same year, she met John Levy, a club owner of a club called Club Ebony. He convinced her he would help her to get her cabaret license back. He then became her manager as well as her lover, and he was very abusive, in which he would kick her in the ribs and stomach, but never hit her in the face because he wanted her to work. Billie Holiday was bisexual and had loves with notable women, an heiress Louise Crane and Hollywood actress Tallulah Bankhead. She also had some notable affairs with famous men, one being actor Charles Laughton and Orson Welles. But most of her relationships with men were ripped with domestic violence and financial mismanagement. She was arrested again with John Levy in San Francisco on January 22, 1949, another attempt by the Bureau of Narcotics to shut her down. but she appeared clean during her court appearance and didn't receive jail time. This constant attack by the Bureau of Narcotics began to destroy her finances, her reputation, and eventually her life. By the 1950s, her drug use, drinking, and abusive relationships caused her health to deteriorate. She toured Europe in 1954 along with Leonard Feather, a British jazz pianist. In 1956, her autobiography, Lady Sings the Blues, co-written by William Duffy, was released, along with an album to accompany the book of the same name. It featured 4 new tracks: Lady Sings the Blues, Too Marvelous for Words, Willow Weep for Me, and I Thought About You. The album received rave reviews. On November 10, 1956, Billie Holiday performed 2 sold-out concerts at Carnegie Hall. The second show was made into a live album, The Essential Billie Holiday. Notable songs on the album were Body and Soul, My Man, and Lady Sings the Blues. In 1956, she began another abusive relationship with mob enforcer Louis McKay. The two were arrested in late 1956 for possession of heroin and cocaine. He convinced her to marry him so that he couldn't testify against her in court, and they married in Mexico on March 28, 1957. And even though she escaped jail time, she was under Louis McKay's control, who not only physically abused her, but he swindled a lot of money from her. He even opened businesses under his name with her money. After she found out, she got so mad that she put his head in the toilet. He then left her and moved to California. In June 1958, Columbia Records released her last album, Lady in Satin. Her voice wasn't in the same condition as her earlier recordings, but many argue that the later recordings she was a better singer because there was a whole life in her voice. Billie Holiday never had any children, but she had 2 godchildren, singer Billie Lorraine Feather, daughter of Leonard Feather, and Bevan Duffy, an American politician and the son of William Duffy. She also used to babysit a little boy who would grow up to become a comedian and actor named Billy Crystal, whose mother was the sister of Milt Gambler, who produced Strange Fruit on Commodore Records. In March of 1959, her longtime friend Lester Young passed away. She wanted to sing at his funeral, but was denied, and it really broke her heart. It was reported that at the funeral she told someone that I'm next. 2 months later, she was admitted to Metropolitan Hospital on May 31st, 1959 for liver failure and heart failure. Again, the Bureau of Narcotics came after her again when they raided her room and found heroin. She was handcuffed to her bed, her record player, candies, and other personal items were taken away from her, and she was refused visitors as well as medication and was placed under police guard. An act of evil done to a legendary artist who was not afraid to speak truth to power. On July 17, 1959, Billie Holiday died of pulmonary edema and heart disease caused by cirrhosis of the liver. She was 44 years old. She died with only 70 cents in her bank account, but she had $50 on her person, which would be $6,668.88 in today's money. So she didn't die poor. Her funeral was held on July 21st, 1959 at the Church of St. Paul the Apostle in Manhattan. 3,000 people showed up to pay their respects to a legend and revolutionary of art, black excellence, and civil justice. Billie Holiday influenced so many artists such as Frank Sinatra, Cassandra Wilson, Erykah Badu, Diane Reeves, Norah Jones, and Amy Winehouse, who recorded a duet of Body and Soul with Tony Bennett before her death in 2011 at the age of 27. In 1972, the classic film Lady Sings the Blues was released based on her autobiography and starred Diana Ross, who received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. The play Lady Day at Emerson Bar and Grill premiered in 1986 with Lonette McKee as Billie. In 1987, S. Apatha Murkison took over the role. In November 2005, it premiered in New Haven, Connecticut with Ernestine Jackson in the role. In 2014, the play opened on Broadway with Audra McDonald as Billie Holiday, which garnered her a Tony Award for Best Actress. In February 2021, a new movie on her life, The United States vs. Billie Holiday, is set to be released. Directed by Lee Daniels, the film will star singing sensation Audra Day in the leading role. Billie Holiday was not a tragic figure, even though she had tragic moments in her life. She was a pioneer, a revolutionary, which her song Strange Fruit is still relevant in today's society in which we face the harsh reality of police brutality, and an icon. Get down in those comments and, about Billie Holiday. If I missed anything, let me know. Or if you have new information about Billie Holiday that you'd like to share in the comments, get down in those comments. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in to this episode. And until next time, everybody, take care.